is Andrea. I'm 31 years old. These are my children. I'm a single mom. I've been a single mom for 2 years now.
Grew up in a very small town, Sealy, Belleville area.
I am not born here. I was actually born in Brazil. We moved here when I was about 3, and I grew up in Houston.
I was born and raised in China. Life over there, it's, that's the first generation with one-child policy. So every family has one child.
I'm Anika. I'm 43 years old. I'm a single mother of 4, 2 boys and 2 girls.
I was born in Cuba in 1968. Right now, I'm a truck driver.
I grew up in India. My name probably gives that away. I came to the U.S. to come to graduate school in Massachusetts. A company I work for brought me to Houston for work, and I kind of fell in love with the people, the food, the low cost of living, the good weather for the most part.
I and my sister Faye are here through adoption. We got here December 2021. We're both from Cameroon in Africa.
Both grew up in the Dallas area, met at college at Texas A&M, and just yesterday celebrated our 16th wedding anniversary. I think our first date was to Whataburger, so.
That's right, we kept it classy.
I guess gonna say, cameras, light, action.
I'll say religion was not a very big part of our life. I mean, we attended church intermittently, but it was 1 hour on Sunday, in and out. I also, by nature, I'm a lifelong accomplished control freak. I like to be orderly and neat and structured, and I want to feel like if there's a problem, I can fix it.
And 2 years after I was born, my mom died. That's when she passed away. And then we've just been staying with our dad because my dad really took the place of my mom and my dad.
Was born in a communist countries are pretty secular. Christianity is mostly persecuted. So I was born in a family that had no Christ. I used to say it's a lack of respect to human intelligence to say there is a God.
I didn't really have a lot of relationship with my parents, and so I moved out my house to go to a boarding school at the age of 13. So my life hasn't been very easy since then. It's a lot of rocky, a lot of trauma. We grew up in this very competitive environment, and then just, one job, 3,000 people could fighting for it. I had to work 6 jobs to be able to survive in Shanghai, just chasing after success. But there's a big hole in me. I felt like my life was in the wilderness.
The first, couple years of your family, you really tried to, build. And I was traveling for about 10 years, back and forth with, in multiple states and countries.
I was doing it alone for quite a while.
Yeah, and so she was tough. I was just going through the motions.
I'm raised in the church all my life, had a personal relationship with God. When I was 16, I experienced some trauma that sent me down the road to drinking and using to forget what happened.
I was raised a Hindu. The belief was there's multiple paths to God. I wasn't hostile to any faith in particular, but I always questioned Hinduism as you got unlimited gods and belief systems and anything is really okay, and it's all about a bunch of tradition and things that you do.
We went through a phase of career change that caused me to realize what was most important to me. Faith, I might have said it was top on the list, but it was really 7th or 8th on the list. And Sarah and I experienced this together, and it was in the fall of 2020 when, after what had been a couple of year-long season of career-related stress and anxiety in our life, I finally hit a total surrender moment.
I got pregnant at 19. We were married for 5 years. Very abusive. He was always cheating on me. I mean, just everything you could go through to destroy a woman, it happened to me. So I left when she was 5, and I was a single mom, scared, didn't know where to go, didn't really have my family's help because they kind of felt like, well, we told you, we warned you, we told you this is gonna happen. And within 6 months, I was with another man, and that was my son's father. So I just ran to another man because that's kind of all I knew to do. And I didn't know how to be on my own as an independent woman, especially with 2 kids.
So there we have a church in the school. I went there to pray, and it was so strange because like I never really sit and think about my mom, or like why she died, or like why she had to leave us or stuff like that. And then I just started crying. I never really cried about the death of my mom, like never. And then I just had this feeling like, what if my dad left us too? And then like a week after, my friend is coming up to me in class, and he's like, "Oh, I heard your dad passed away." And I'm like, "No, you don't talk about stuff like that." He was like, "I'm being for real, your dad is dead." You know, I didn't want to believe it. I didn't even believe him at all. Like, that could never happen. My brother was like, "Oh, I want to tell you guys something." And we're like, "What?" And he was like, "Dad had to go. He has done a lot for us, but his time had reached for us to leave us." And then I ran to his room to check if he was actually there, but I didn't see him. I was like, why did God have to do this? Like, he took mom, and they had to take dad too. You know, it was hurting me. I was so confused. Because, like, my dad was like my best friend. He died October 27 at around 10 p.m.
I came as an immigrant with $800 in my pocket and wanted to be an American and assimilate and find out what makes this country tick, what makes it the best place for liberty and freedom and for people to pursue their dream. And the more I studied documents and books, read literally over 100 books, and talked to people and history, it would all lead me back to their biblical faith. And their worldview of Christianity is what caused them to think correctly and create these systems and behave on balance in a better way, which created amazing prosperity and a lifestyle for people, which still people from all over the world want to come here.
It was a struggle. Living in Cuba, especially at that time, it was rough. We had nothing. I would come home from work and I would not even have soap to have a shower. It is literally oppression. I mean, people talk about slavery, and communism is a system of slavery. You are enslaved by the government, and they can literally take your life anytime they want. There's nothing you can do about it. The government it's abusive and tyrannic, but you cannot say anything. I mean, your neighbor can snitch you, and the next day you'll be in prison.
Underground church is still, and it was, illegal. You know, the government said if you want to, religious freedom, you can go to church. We built churches for you. We staffed the pastors for you. And then we screen their scriptures for you as well, their sermons for you as well. So I did not follow Christ at all at that time. I wanted to, but I didn't know how.
I was in a very, very abusive and controlling relationship. I mean, he stripped everything away from me. I had no friends. My family, I didn't even talk to my family. And we were living in an RV with 5 of us. My daughters were miserable. That wasn't their dad. They did not like him at all. He was always drinking. So I was left with no choice. I mean, I would never put a man before my kids. So I left with nothing but a bag of clothes. I still, once again, didn't run back to Jesus because I felt like, he couldn't rescue me. I was too damaged. I was too broken. Like, what could he do for me? So I just ran to despair.
So then I found myself diving deeper into drugs, ended up losing my children. They were with my parents for 6 years. So I had nowhere to go. Slept outside in abandoned buildings, cars. Was nothing nothing like I imagined it to be, how I wanted it to be, what I expected God wanted from me. That kind of made me feel that, maybe he has forsaken me, maybe he has left.
1993 came and I tried to escape Cuba for the first time, where we tried to swim from Santiago de Cuba to Guantanamo Base. And we didn't make it. That night, the storm was called the Century Storm. It was a pretty bad storm, and we were swimming in the ocean. It was really a miracle. Even though I didn't believe in miracles, there is somebody upstairs who likes us, because there's no human being that can make this landing and be alive.
I watched the Lee Strobel movie, A Case for Christ, read the book, if Christ was crucified and he rose from the dead in 3 days, and there's all kind of evidence from even non-Christian of the time, Roman historians, Jewish historians, in all the Gospels, the multiple people who testified to it. If this happened, clearly he beat death. Only God could do this. So then I spent a year just reading the Bible myself. It still took me a while. I felt I don't belong in a church. I wouldn't know how to operate. I don't know everything about a church.
It was 2004, after several attempts that failed. I tried to come to the States in a catamaran. The U.S. Coast Guard caught us 15 miles away from Marathon Key. They turned us around. My mom didn't know anything about me for 6 days, so she thought I was dead. So that Sunday, she goes to church, and she's praying, and she starts crying because she loves me and she doesn't want to lose me. So this couple walks by her, and they ask her, "Hey, Lourdes, what's going on?" And she told them the story, and at the end, they told her how much you need to bring him to the States. And she said $8,000. And they gave her the $8,000. She told them, "We will pay you as soon as he comes." And they say, "No, because if you do that, you're gonna take the blessing away from us."
My adopted mom is Joy Yango, and my adopted dad is Takwe Yango. Actually, my mom, Joy, is actually my father's youngest sister. So she's actually my aunt who has adopted us into the family, yes. So, but with the way the Cameroon system is, they're so sluggish. I hope this doesn't go on the news because someone hears that I say Cameroon is sluggish. But like they kept dragging the whole process. So this adoption process took like 5 years. It was the best decision my family could think of to secure us a good future. We'll be able to go to college.
Coming here was not easy because my husband had a reverse cultural shock. It's completely different from the place I grew up.
From there, we moved to my sister. She has an apartment that she was renting out. And for the last 2 years, we've lived there and put our lives back together. Finally, my sister, she started attending Second Baptist Church. And she was like, "Please come, like this, the children's program, the youth program is amazing." Like, she's like, "Just try it at least for your kids." Like, I just had my breaking point. I was like, okay, I gotta see who this person is. I need to find Jesus. Like, if there's hope in him, then I need hope.
We moved to Texas with the idea of driving semis. And then we didn't have a church. And we started looking for a church. A friend of my wife's niece goes to the second. And she took my wife a couple times, and she said to me, "You have to listen to this pastor."
Whenever you do have kids, things do change. And I became a little more paranoid. And that's where I started saying, hey, I need a little more faith. You know, I believe, but I need more faith to help push me through because the paranoia, I was just seeing all this stuff going on. And
You know, we both wanted the same thing. We both wanted a family. We both wanted faith.
And I just remember we were just walking, taking a family walk in July, and I was just walking and praying, say, "God, please help us find a spiritual family." And right before we got home, we met with a member from Second Baptist Church, and he invited us first time, and invited us second time, and third time, and fourth. We finally said, "Okay, we'll go."
Our parents go to Second, Joy and Takwe. So I remember when we went to the main service, it was exciting coming here. Most people back home dream about America. The very first Sunday we came to Second Baptist, this is not what I thought it was gonna be like. Everybody here is so welcoming.
It was a very different experience. It felt more welcoming. I really liked it. It was amazing.
When I was in the shelter, they ended up charging us to the church. And I remember me and my girls, we got off the bus and you just seen all these people and kids and adults, and they're just standing in line and just clapping for us. It was called Angels of Light. It was so amazing. It was really heartwarming. And after the Angels of Light, I came to a church service that Sunday. I remember I sat up on the front row and I was just broken. And so I stood up and went and signed up to be a member.
Chris and I decided, hey, we want to get them in a program where a good kids program to give them a foundation, something they can rely on. First of all, we asked around some friends, and some weren't Baptist, but we always got led in the same direction. They always told us, you know, I hear that Baptist program is really exceptional for the kids. It's one of the best ones around.
Went to a Christmas Eve service, December 2021, and then when they had the call at the end, I was ready. I just felt the Holy Spirit, like this is where I'm supposed to be. I've investigated it. I'm sure this is real. Christ died for everybody's sins, including mine. He rose from the dead. That's beyond dispute. And I went up and accepted Christ and at second, and it's just been a great blessing in my life.
We were our oldest son, who was at that time a kindergartner, maybe first grader at Second Baptist School. We were at something like the Christmas chapel or one of the events that the little kids do, and usually a pastor comes out and there's a message or a talk, and he's speaking to 6-year-olds and talking about Jesus and faith in that language. And I started to realize as our son would come home and we would practice his Bible verses and I would hear the pastor talk to 6-year-olds about what it meant to be a Christian, I was having moments of recognition like, oh, that's what that means. I've literally heard that since I was 6 years old, but it was taking me until my early 30s to start to understand certain basic truths of what Christianity is. And I almost needed to hear it in words packaged for tiny children. Even though our kids had been at Second at that time for 6 or 7 years, I needed to reach out for help to understand Christianity. We were just at that point, and I literally just went to the church website and clicked, I would like to learn more about the church, the digital altar call, even though we'd been around here for 6 years at that point.
Sometimes you meet people that say you don't need to go to church to be a Christian. I mean, there's plenty of people who say that, but that's a lie. You really need the family. It's an experience that you come to need. I've been on the road for 3 weeks, and I told my wife, I need to go home because we need to go to church. I finally filled the card that is behind the seat.
Really what we need is the worship and the Word of God. And I felt like we were in a place where our whole family can grow, not just my husband and I, but our children just loves and adores the children's program.
I think it was, I almost say vicariously through our kids as we figured out that Second was the place to be for us.
We love going to church on Sundays. It's not a task. We love the way we feel when we leave. You actually feel like you're taking something that you can apply on a daily basis.
Like it was almost too good to be true when we first, how warm it is.
Just embraces
you.
Just
embraces you. And to me, you can only fake it so long. And then it has to be real.
Everyone was so excited. It just really gave that reassurance like, this is a good place. Even if I go to another country, I'm gonna look for another Second Baptist church to go to.
There was no pressure. Then he recommended I join a Bible study, and that kind of had a smaller group setting, got to know some people. And again, there was no pressure, but the more I went, I could see Christ working on my behavior internally. I became a different person. There's a lot. I'm a flawed human being, sinner, a lot more work to be done. But I could already see this is beginning to change the way I behave, the way I look at the world, the way I interact with other people, and I was just feeling this growth inside.
So one day I got a phone call from the youth pastor, and he was just inviting me to come meet with him and to talk to him and kind of hear my story. And he asked us if we wanted to be saved, and he asked us if we wanted to get baptized. I was tired of being broken and lost, and I just wanted to start a new life. I was very excited, and I knew that I wanted my daughters to experience this with me, and it was the most special thing in my life to be able to be baptized with them.
It felt different. It just felt like something changed inside of me and my family.
I'm very happy that Mom and Dad did for us was send us to Beach Retreat.
That was the best gift.
Made me say to myself, I have been off track all this time, and I wanted to restart. So I wanted to make things right. So I had discovered that I had decided to get baptized. Faith too, it's like we had gone through, she felt the exact same thing.
Eventually it became clear I absolutely wanted to get baptized. As an expression to everyone, and especially my kids. I thought a lot about I wanted my kids to see Dad experience that and very publicly declare, where my faith is.
And I just felt this is the right path. I'm born again, a new sense of peace and purpose, and I'm very happy I took that step.
That one day we just knew it was the right thing to do, and kind of leaned over to her and I said, hey, let's do it today. Let's get up and let's walk. I said, I'm ready. Are you ready? And she said, yeah, I'm ready.
Kind of felt relieved, like a different person.
To know that we were all just renewed as a family and that we were going to start a new journey together.
And it felt like a new beginning.
Felt like a new person. I really felt, you can just tell, watching the video of it, that it's one of the best things that I've done. And I can honestly say that.
When he got baptized, our oldest son, Luke, had also made the decision to get baptized. And so they did that together, and that was just a very, very special moment. So seeing them in there together.
So my wife, she was raised Hindu. Her father, who lives in Katy as well, he's a priest at a local Hindu temple. She doesn't stop me from doing this. She clearly sees that I'm serious about this, and I brought the kids to some events, but they're not formally Christian. So I just pray in time, with God, everything is possible. So I'm hoping in time, as they see my behavior and my faith grow, and with God's blessing, they'll come along at their own pace.
When I think about my life now, I think the best country in the history of human beings is the United States of America. This country was a gift from God. I've been here almost 20 years and still I do not understand my freedom. You can worship, you can pray, you can be a Christian free. The freedom is not just that you are a Christian, but because you can be a Christian freely, openly, and nobody can condemn you.
Surrendering to Jesus and God and God's plan has brought me a lot of peace. And having that recognition and awareness has been a significant change in my life.
I see my life starting to go down the path where it should have been.
We're just a happier family. There's no more yelling. There's no more anger. I think we're all just healing and growing in our faith.
He's provided us hope as a family. He's provided us guidance as a family. I may have not have always been there for him or with him, but at the very end of the day, I know he's always been there with me.
I just can't imagine without Jesus, where would I be? I certainly never want to go back to that black hole, and I certainly can't take up the cross, and I can't walk the life. I can't do my job. I can't be a good wife, can't be a good mom without Jesus. So he's everything to me.
I just love telling other single moms that there is hope and that he's there for you and that he will get you through anything. And so yes, my life is insanely different. It's amazing. It's beautiful. And there's so much redemption, and it's really, truly beauty from ashes.
There's nothing but great things to come. I don't know, God will use me somehow, some way to help share his word, and I can't wait.
It's the fact that he has never forgotten me.
It just took me some time to realize that he's not just never gonna let me go.
Jesus is everything. I would not be alive right now if it would have been for Jesus, literally. How to say this in English? The core or the force that keep us together is Jesus. Our life without Jesus is nothing.